We had 15 different services that were all integrated together. We were using QuickBooks and Monday.com, and they were completely separate entities. There was very little data synchronization happening. But Blu Banyan had a massive infrastructure already built out and ready to go. And it was 100% tailored to solar, and no one else really offered that. Out of the box, what we got with Blu Banyan was significantly farther along than anything we would have built. Two things: dramatically more efficient. We're able to handle almost double the workload. And then even more importantly is visibility. Projects are not getting lost anymore. I think one of the biggest advantages of Blu Banyan is that you can basically have an entire platform built out for you without any development knowledge, right? You don't need a developer on your team. You're going to find that the money you spend on it is saved many times over. If your goal as a company is to scale, you need to have the infrastructure in place to scale. My name is John. I'm a software developer for OnPoint Solar. I am responsible for all of our data flow, integrations, software solutions. I've been there for almost 4 years now. And about 2 years ago, we made the decision to move our company to the NetSuite platform. We found ourselves scaling beyond our current solution, and we were at a solar convention and heard about Blu Banyan, and the rest is history. Here we are. Yeah, so we were using Monday.com. I like to describe it as a glorified spreadsheet. It acts as a CRM, but it is lacking a lot of the fundamental features that NetSuite has, such as integration with your financial backend. And NetSuite is definitely much more robust in that sense. It was complicated, to say the least. We had 15 different services that were all integrated together through a number of different services. I had custom integrations on AWS, and there was a lot of discontinuity, unreliable APIs. Monday's API was extremely difficult to work with. It quickly became clear that Monday was just not going to scale with our business. We had been talking about it for over a year. One of our owners has a heavy accounting background, and he was not satisfied with what was the current solution. We were using QuickBooks and Monday.com, and they were completely separate entities. There was very little data synchronization happening other than manual. So the process was very disconnected and inefficient. And he had already recognized that, and we had been talking about potential solutions for over a year. But what really was the precipice for our decision was a scaling issue. So Monday has fixed limits on the size of the table that you can create for your data. I don't want to get into technical details, but in essence, it created a much more complex solution than needed to be. So Jake and Jim, the owners of the company, went to SolarCon, and they were introduced to Blu Banyan there, and they were really, really excited with what Blu Banyan had to offer. And then we hopped on a call, and it made a lot of sense to go with Blu Banyan. We were in discussions with 4 different integration teams or consultancies, and all of those paths would have required us to build this from scratch. But Blu Banyan had a massive infrastructure already built out and ready to go. And it was 100% tailored to solar, and no one else really offered that. Out of the box, what we got with Blu Banyan was significantly farther along than anything we would have built. Two things: dramatically more efficient. We're able to handle almost double the workload. And then even more importantly is visibility. Projects are not getting lost anymore. With 5 minutes of effort, I can create a saved search to identify any problem area within the company. That just wasn't possible with Monday. The visibility is probably the most critical part of it, project visibility. I had to run a script to pull all of the data out of Monday to display it inside our portal. And that script would take over an hour to run. Whereas that same script running in NetSuite takes less than a minute. So I can perform more data synchronization faster and run it more frequently, right? Because the data inside Monday would be sometimes 4 to 8 hours old. It was very difficult inside Monday to create appropriate role policies for all of the different departments and groups inside Monday. You typically ended up having to do it on a user by user basis, which is never what you want to do, because then when you lose an employee and onboard someone new, you have to go through that same process for every new employee rather than just assigning them to a role, right? Or to a group. Monday just was not very sophisticated with their role-based authentications and things like that. Whereas NetSuite is as customizable as it gets almost. You can pretty much down to the record type provide roles and permissions for any user group, which is a huge advantage. Yeah, so our operations department, they at any given time have 500 to 600 projects that they're managing, and it's easy for one of those projects to hit a status that is preventing the project from moving forward, whether it be a change order or some roadblock to installation. And when it hits those stages, what we're finding is it's typical for an employee to put that off because it's not improving their KPIs in the same way that the 5 easy projects that just go through the pipeline do. So by using or utilizing the features inside NetSuite, the save searches and the reporting features, we can easily identify those projects before they become problematic. The longer those projects sit, the more upset customers become, your stakeholders, the finance partners, right? You have a deadline before the money that was allocated for that project is clawed back. And then that in turn creates cash flow problems for the company. Avoiding that at all costs is critical, and NetSuite allows us to do that. It's been good. We went through about a 6 month implementation process. Kent Flake was our implementation leader. I have nothing but praise for him and his team. They did an excellent job walking me through any questions I had, pointing me in the right direction during my learning and discovery phase. That first 6 months, I don't know if I would have gotten through it without at least a little bit of direction from them. There was just so much that I needed to learn that really is outside of the scope of most companies probably using Blu Banyan, right? I think one of the biggest advantages of Blu Banyan is that you can basically have an entire platform built out for you without any development knowledge, right? You don't need a developer on your team. We were kind of unique in that we did have a development department. We had myself, and then I have an intern working under me as well, and the ability to work with them to answer the questions that I had and to get through some of the problems that I had to work through and the projects that I was working on was critical. One of the features that they have that we've really utilized is Blue Chat, and that comes out of the box, right, for anyone to use within NetSuite. But we wanted to use it inside of our rep portal, and we were able to get that up and running relatively quickly and without too much effort. It was nice. They already had a script built that I could deploy on an EC2 server that I set up, and within a couple days, it was good to go. You're gonna find that the money you spend on it is saved many times over. People look at the upfront costs and it's significant, right? But if your goal as a company is to scale, you need to have the infrastructure in place to scale. When we first experienced the tremendous growth, we were not on NetSuite yet. When I started at the company, we went from about 25 installs a month to 2 years later, we were at 150. So to experience, what is that? 600% growth. Yeah, 600% growth in the span of 2 years. It's significant, and it requires a number of substantial changes to your organizational hierarchy, to your processes, and stepping into a platform like this really allows you to build processes that scale. The processes that you're going to implement when you're installing 20 to 25 jobs a month look significantly different than they do when you're at 150. And if you're building those processes around a system that is capable of scaling to hundreds of jobs a month or more, then you're going to be in a much better place.